right? Negative exponents. This is a simple concept, but it just ends up feeling tricky a lot of the times because it ends up kind of mixed up in a bunch of different problems, okay? But here's the rule. When something is raised to a negative exponent, it's 1 divided by that same base raised to the positive exponent. What does that mean? Look, if this is a number raised to a negative exponent, that's the same as 1 over that exact same thing, but with a positive exponent. So this was x to the negative 2. This would be 1 over x to the 2. Okay, why? Think about what this means, right? This is this. So remember what the rule is. I would subtract. This would be x, so this would be 3 minus 5. That would be negative 2, right? So this equals x to the negative 2. It also equals, look what it also equals. There's nothing on the top. We're not allowed to just write nothing on the top. That's like not a thing. You're not allowed to do that. You have to put a placeholder on the top of a fraction if you write it. So it's 1 over, and what's on the bottom? X squared, okay? These two things are equal to each other. They are the same. Okay, now, this is what's considered simplest form. So basically, from now on, whenever you write an answer, you shouldn't have a negative exponent in your answer. Okay, you should write your answer in a way that there's only positive exponents. All right. So, for example, here, this would not be considered simplest form. So if I want to simplify it, I have to rewrite it. Now remember, this is the same as 1 over m to the positive 6. Okay, what have I done? I've just put it on the bottom of a fraction, and I've changed the negative to a positive. Okay, now here, let's look at this one. In this case, the a to the 5th, that doesn't look, here's my fraction. Now these are both like, they're both sitting on top of a fraction right now, right? They're like over 1. This a to the 5th, that guy's not moving. That's going to stay on the top of the fraction. But this is going to the bottom of a fraction. Okay, and notice once it moves to the bottom, the exponent becomes positive. So that negative exponent is almost like, oh, I'm not in the right place. Like, move me and I'll be more positive. Okay, now, these get tricky. There's a couple different ways to handle these. Notice that the exponent on the outside is negative, okay? You can handle this in a few different ways. You can kind of handle like this first or this first. It doesn't really matter, okay? I'm gonna just kind of briefly show you both ways. You'll see this answer is the same. Let's say I'm like, ooh, I don't like this guy, this negative exponent on the outside. So watch what I'm gonna do first. I'm gonna do 1 over, and I'm gonna rewrite this whole thing. Okay, notice what's inside the exponent is not changing. I'm sorry, what's inside the parentheses is not changing. The only thing I'm changing is I'm changing this to a positive. Okay, now what does this become? This becomes 1 over, okay, let's see, 4. This is 4 to the 3rd power. That's 4 times 4 times 4. That's 64. This becomes d to the power of, I'm multiplying 6, and e to the power of negative 3 times 3. Look, I'm multiplying. This is negative 9. Now, look at this. This is a negative exponent on the bottom of a fraction. What does that tell me? It doesn't matter. Wherever the negative exponent is, it's saying, I'm in the wrong spot. Please move me. I'm in the denominator. Please move me to the numerator. Or I'm in the numerator. Please move me to the denominator. So in this case, this negative exponent on the bottom of a fraction says, please move me to the top. So I'm going to move that to the top. And I'm going to leave. Now look, the 64 doesn't have a negative exponent, and neither does the d to the 6th. So I'm going to move that to the bottom. Okay, this is totally fine. The other way I could have handled this is I could have changed this inside first. Okay, I could have said, oh, this is this. Look, with the e to the negative 3rd on the bottom. And that's still to the negative 3rd power. Watch what this does, okay? And it's the same thing's going to happen here. I'm going to flip the fraction, right? Because this negative says, hey, I'm in the wrong spot. And this negative says, hey, I'm in the wrong spot. Because remember, this applies to everything on the inside. So you could just take this whole thing and flip it over. Look, I'm flipping it and I'm making the exponent positive. I'm flipping it and I'm making the exponent positive. And then look, I get the same answer, right? This becomes e to the 9th. This becomes 4 to the 3rd. And d to the 6th. Okay, so same answer, just two different strategies. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. You can just like apply it on the inside. For me, I like this. Like if I have a negative exponent like this on the outside of a fraction, I'm like, oh, that's messy. Like I don't like that. I'm going to get rid of that. So what I do is I'm just going to take this fraction. I'm going to flip it over. Nothing inside the fraction is changing. The fraction is staying the same, except that I flipped it. So the bottom is on the top is on the bottom, and now that negative sign is gone. Why? Because that negative said, I'm in the wrong spot. So I move them, now they're not in the wrong spot. Okay, and now I can just apply my squared to everything. So 3 squared is 9. This is n to the 5th squared, that's n to the 10th. 2 squared is 4, and then this is x to the 4th.